We thought that now we could determine how society was organized. The other youth organizations were disbanded and incorporated into the Hitler Youth.
Any boys who still refused to sign up felt the consequences.
Nun gingen die stramm dort vorbei, mit der Fahne voran.
They marched briskly past, the flag at the front. Suddenly one of them stepped out of the middle of the column, boxed my ears and said, "Salute the flag." Naturally, I was shocked.
Stand da und war natürlich schockiert. Du darfst nicht abseits stehen.
I thought I'd better not be left out. If I joined, I wouldn't be punched. I'd be one of them and then I might do the punching.
Plötzlich hörte mein Vater Schläge, Trommelschläge.
Suddenly, my father heard the sound of drum beats. I heard them too. They were getting closer. They echoed dreadfully in the narrow street. Then I remembered that my classmates had said, "If you don't join the young folk, we'll come and get you." Is that what was happening? They came closer, formed a semicircle outside our door. Then the doorbell rang. We were afraid. I went out, and two boys came either side of me and led me to the last of the groups, and I had to fall in line. I saw another boy in civvies, and I realized they were rounding up more boys. We started marching, and the marching itself fused us into a single entity. If you control the streets, you control the people.
Der hatte die Menschen.
Every conceivable youth activity was now under Nazi control.
The
idea that every Hitler Youth and Jungvolk member could do whatever he was interested in was the great attraction. But you could only do that if you were good enough.
Man durfte zuerst auch nur, wenn man gute Leistungen gebracht hatte.
Boys were forced to compete at everything. They were bullied and humiliated if they didn't fit in.
If you couldn't jump more than 5 meters, you were a loser. You were rejected and ridiculed.
Ausgestoßen und lächerlich gemacht.
Leistung musste man auf irgendeine Weise bringen, jeder auf seine Art.
You had to be good at something. Everybody could be good at something. Develop a positive self-image and feel important.
Gefühl entwickeln und sich bedeutend fühlen.
The Hitler Youth taught boys vocational skills so that one day they could fuel the German war effort. But even in the factories and workshops, a competitive element was introduced.
Wir haben im Reichsberufswettkampf die gesamte junge Generation Deutschlands auf dieses Leistungsprinzip verpflichtet.
You got a certificate to say that you had passed with a certain mark. Naturally, it was an honor.
The toughest and most loyal Hitler Youth members quickly advanced.
We were assessed by our platoon leaders on the basis of points awarded for sport, field exercises and so on, and also for how we behaved, how well we sang and how clearly we spoke when we explained something. All these attributes were noted, and that was how one rose through the ranks.
Jeder lauerte drauf, eine neue Schnur.
Everyone was dying to get a new lanyard or pennant to signify a promotion. The attraction was that every German could rise into a position of command over someone who in their turn commanded someone else. Nearly everybody had a position of some kind, even young people.
Und so war es auch bei den Jugendlichen.
The hierarchy of the Hitler Youth was an important part of its appeal. Boys were seduced by the idea of controlling their peers.
When you stood there and said, "Halt, eyes left, eyes right, look to the front," and you didn't have to take part, you were the one giving the orders, that made you feel pretty good about yourself.
Das war immer wieder ein Erlebnis, so vor der Front zu stehen.
It was quite an experience to stand there, give orders, and have the feeling you were important without knowing why.
Ohne zu wissen was.
You were elated because you had a position of authority.
Durch diese Autorität gehoben.
Ein 12-Jähriger kann dann schon 10-Jährige.
A 12-year-old could command 10 10-year-olds. Halt, lie down, for they have to throw themselves down. You set your goals higher and higher. As a squad leader, you had 30 boys under you. As a platoon leader, you had 100. You could order them about. That's seductive for boys. The Nazis knew that, and they exploited it. A lot of boys fell for it. I, for one.
Bei vielen damals, wie zum Beispiel bei mir, hat's geklappt.
The boys were ruled with a rod of iron.
When the order to sing was given, we had to sing. If it wasn't loud enough, we'd be scolded. We were totally straitjacketed. There was no freedom at all.
If I gave an order, I would expect it to be carried out. If I said sing, then of course they'd sing. If I gave them marching orders, they marched. It was taken for granted. They did it as unquestioningly in the Hitler Youth as they did it later in the army.
Nichts ist möglich, wenn nicht ein Wille befiehlt, denn immer die anderen zu gehorchen haben. Von oben beginnend und ganz unten erst endend.
Orders were followed blindly. You didn't question them. Orders were orders. It was simple. If you didn't obey, you would be treated accordingly.
Hitler, Junge, Hitler bietet von der weiteren Teilnahme an einem Lehrgang entbunden zu werden. Na nu, was ist denn mit dir los? Dafür, ich glaube, ich schaff das nicht, was dir alles verlangt wird. Ich denke, du willst Offizier werden. Und da willst du schon nach 3 Tagen schlapp machen. Ich will dir mal was sagen. Ob du das hier schaffst oder nicht, das bestimmen wir und nicht du. Reiß dich mal gefälligst zusammen. Jawohl, Aufhörer. Wegrennen.
The individual didn't count. They never asked, "Can you do that? How do you feel? Do you like that?" We had to get on with it, and we did. We had taken the oath.
The Hitler Youth boys were being trained to follow orders for a reason. They had to be prepared to carry out the extremes of Nazism without question. The Hitler Youth operated in clubhouses as well as training camps. Here, youth leaders taught boys about military tactics and lectured in Nazi philosophy.
We learnt about the lives of the Nazi leaders and the anti-Jewish campaign. It was like a school lesson in National Socialism.
Hitler Youth leaders were given carefully selected phrases to read out.
The goal of the Jews is to brutally rule other races. In this, the Jewish people reveals itself in all its madness and its brutal thirst for power.
They were elegant, very elegant indeed, in the way they told us things in small doses. One small dose at a time, and then a tiny bit more. That way we didn't notice what they were doing to us.